All right, everybody, welcome to another Chart Guys video. We got Willie B, Nathan Crawford, and Joshua Lau here with me. We're going to be looking at this chart here that Josh so kindly created for us, and oh boy, does it look like a good one today.
Well, anytime I can make the axes have a little jab at the warrior class is always nice. All right, so
break it down for us.
Yeah, all right, so we're decided to. You guys are veteran listeners of the chart guys, so you guys can handle a XY axis chart, no problem. So we're trying to combine two charts in one. All right, so let's start with the y-axis. The y-axis is going to be your traditional S, A, B, all the way down to F tier. So this is where we think the heroes are in the current metagame and the metagame going into the ProQuest Season 3. So if they're an S tier, we're going to call them the Pulse Wave Harpoon tier. So these are going to be heroes that we think have the best shot at winning a ProQuest, and just heroes that have strong cards, have strong strategies and all that. At the bottom, we named this the Merciless Battle X tier for obvious reasons. So, these are going to be decks that are either underpowered or inconsistent or have to jump through, basically trash, that have to jump through a lot of hoops to execute their game plan. All right, so that's the up and down. That's the y-axis there. On the x-axis, on the left side, we have classic battles. In other words, not useful. In other words, these heroes did not get many useful upgrades from Dynasty. On the right side, we have Crucible of War, perhaps the most influential set of all time. And these are, if they're on the right side, they're going to be heroes that got significant upgrades from the cards in the set. And yep, so yeah, that's basically the X and Y axis. Normally we like to start with pillars, but that's a little bit harder when you have two axes. Do we just want to start with maybe one of the old guards of the last format?
Yep, let's do it.
Let's start with Phi, because I think it's very clear that Phi did not get any cards for the
that's a fact.
Because all the ninja cards were related to the Crouching Tiger line, which
it's pretty combo. Well, not even combo oriented, but why would you do that when you have Phoenix Flames?
Yep, right. Exactly. So I guess you're the ninja player here. Will, why don't you break this down a little bit?
Alex is a ninja player. I'm the Phi player.
Oh, okay.
I'll
let you both take it.
Phi didn't get really anything, but Phi didn't need anything. Phi was sitting pretty, and he's still sitting pretty. He's very lucky. He's got a lot going for him.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm still having fun playing with him. I'll admit that when watching the first match in our team league, you guys talked about how I didn't have any new cards, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't have any new cards for Phi, but I didn't need any, so I have no reason to complain. Alex?
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. Like, Ninja in general didn't. I mean, Phi for sure did not get tools from this because it doesn't want anything that's non-draconic on the chain link, and Katsu had ways to search some of the new stuff and whatnot, so he's kind of utilizing most of that. He's taking those ninja cards, but he's a bit more fragile than Phi is, and so Phi is just a very resilient, just brutal ninja deck. So it's still going to be really, really good. I don't think it lost its top dog aggro spot, but it didn't really get anything from the new set, in my opinion.
Do you guys know why I'm not putting this all the way on the left?
Yes. No. I have no idea.
What was our spoiler card?
Oh, Blazing Yori.
Yes.
Oh, the Blazing Yori. Yeah.
So there is a card that he got. Single card.
Oh, would this be like more of a blitz card?
I don't know.
It's funny.
It's a good mirror match card. I mean,
I fought Kyle, fellow card guy, at local armory into his kitty Katsu with my Phi, and he was rocking Blazing Yori, and when he played it in our fight to shut down one of my lava bursts, I was like, oh, Blazing Yori is a Katsu card. I think it is a Katsu card. It just helps in the Ninja Mirror.
Right.
You don't think this is applicable at all
Well,
to
Not when you have
CC?
Furnace. Furnace is so good.
It's 3-block, yeah.
I would never. And if you actually use its ability, I would never give up Furnace.
I won't put him touching the edge, but almost there. Okay. As for, are we putting him at the very top tier, or do we think that he's maybe
he's actually a smidge lower because somebody got some stuff.
Okay. All right. We will put him near S tier, but not quite there. All right. Or maybe low S tier. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we knocked that out. Where do we want to go? What's a good card here to talk about?
Go with the next best thing, his arch nemesis. The winner of the world championship.
Elsa.
All right, Elsa. Okay, obviously Elsa is very, very strong. But
I also think this is kind of a good one to talk about as well because Phi, in the same way that he didn't really get any new cards, Elsa didn't really get any new cards. So I think that she and him kind of fit hand in hand with what this set provided.
Now, it's a little early to talk about this, but I think it's important to keep this in mind. We have to think about how the metagame has evolved in the last couple weeks and how we see it evolving. So even though Icelander was top tier, the metagame could have changed significantly.
Absolutely.
To,
I think she's definitely taken a notch down. Anytime a hero stands out as the best hero in the format, it will always take a notch down for the next little while because people like target it, and other decks that are just very good into it will start to rise to the top, which then will create room for decks that are good into that deck. Then you get tiered formats and triangle formats and all those kinds of things, which is how card games are supposed to evolve from event to event. So, I think she. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to bring up a minor thing, but she took a major hit in Blitz. Any Icelander Blitz players they're looking at that deck right now, just hurting without Aether Ice Vein.
And hypothermia.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Literally 0 new cards, right, for Icelander?
Yep.
All right.
I mean, you could play some cards, but
they're not ice.
No, all the new wizard cards are so Kano friendly, which, hey, good for Kano. I love it.
All right.
I don't. Down with the wizards.
Sure. All right. I guess we should talk about Oldhim next. I mean, these three kind of were the pillar formats or pillars of the format.
No one is doing anything with the shield cards yet, but there is an Oldhim build out there that just blocks until the cows come home.
Yeah, I think the aggro decks are too spiky for that kind of build to work. And then of course you have the False Hex plan from Icelander. So I think all he got was what's that card? Buckle?
Yeah, I don't think they're playing.
Oh yeah,
it's another dominate for Oldhim, so I guess that's
but
it's new Terror Thunder.
That one could make it in, but it's not even that good. So like he probably got the same amount of support as Phi.
Yeah.
But he got more potential support if like down the line we could see Oldhim built very, very defensively. I don't think we'd ever see Crouching Tiger Phi, right?
No.
So I think Oldhim got a few more potential cards, even though a lot of them aren't seeing use right now. Do we agree with my position right here? Kind of on the same level as Phi, a little bit below Icelander, a little bit more useful cards. Okay, so we've talked about a couple of heroes that have not gotten upgrades. I guess let's talk about the heroes that got a lot of upgrades. Katsu. All right, where is Katsu? There he is. Katsu got a lot of upgrades. In fact, he got a whole new archetype.
Yep.
And literally every single card is somewhat playable for Katsu. And we've seen a lot of people.
Still isn't that good.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue. He's not is he Merciless Battle Axe tier?
No, so
No.
Katsu is not bad. He just
No.
why would you play him over Phi's? Is the only like
Mhm.
he's not bad by any means. He's probably like just middle of the road, but
It's funny, like the new Crouching Tiger stuff is pretty cool. Like I like it a lot, but you have to set it up. It's not going to happen naturally, so it's not really that amazing.
One of the nice things is that even if you play a Katsu deck without the Crouching Tiger line, just the existence of the Crouching Tiger line already makes the opponent have to guess what you're doing, right?
Yep.
The more possibilities that are actually viable, I think Katsu has 2 viable lines, right? So anytime there's 2 viable lines of play with a hero, that's obviously good. So I'd say, do we kind of agree here? Is he more over here?
yeah, that's fun.
This seems
Yeah,
about good right here.
Three quarters of the way to the right. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's probably a little higher than that.
I was gonna say I'd move him up a
Okay.
smidge higher, just because like
Put him on the line.
I've seen
On the
some people do
Yeah, I don't hate it.
really a little low on the line, but on the line.
Mhm.
I think yeah.
There you go.
That'll work.
Semantics.
Yeah.
But like it works. Like when it works, it's like super good. But then when it doesn't work, it's like bad. So I don't know.
Is it because we just haven't found the correct build yet? Or
Maybe.
I don't know if it's something that you can correct. It's like
because the Crouching
It's
Tiger
just-
line is kind of all in, right? You have to run your whole
Yes.
deck around it. It's not like a supplemental line. Like you could run the Surging Strike line, supplement it with the leg tap line.
I've seen they do the leg tap line. Apparently, the leg tap line plus Crouching Tiger is the one that's easiest to flow. And
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure.
We'll see. Hopefully, somebody comes up with something that's really neat with it, but hasn't happened yet.
Sure. Okay. What other heroes got a lot of upgrades? Never mind.
I would say Dash.
Let's just talk about Dash.
There's the big one.
Yeah.
All right. Dash probably got I mean, if we're talking,
Dash got upgrades to existing playstyles, and she got an upgrade in the form of a brand new playstyle, and it's actually playable, which is hilarious.
yeah, the
I think she
mecha style
came out queen.
Yep. Okay, so I mean, we literally named one of the axes Pulse Wave Harpoon. What's there to be said about this card that hasn't been said already? It's an amazing card. It forces people to block. It doesn't even require it to hit, so you can't even negate it with armor. This is also a card that kind of screws over some combo decks as well. Like it's a excellent card, and not just that. We have things like BIOS update. Not as good as Pulse Wave Harpoon, admittedly. That's a throwback to one of our old videos, but I think it's still a pretty good card. I think most decks will probably find room for it because it supplements the Pounder plan really well. They also have a few new tech cards, like the one that gives -1 to defending armor on the chain. That's a little bit scary for those that's running Temper. So like the Courage of Bladehold obviously stands out there. And then the whole new archetype with the hyperdrivers and the mechanoid, like we saw that deck had pretty good success in the Hong Kong Battle Hardened. And yeah, we've seen Dash do pretty well recently. And it's been a pretty prevalent hero in the team league as well. So I think a lot of people are on this deck.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I could definitely say something about Dash. I think the closest thing that I can compare it to with the new archetypes that are out is back when I used to play Chain, the hardest decision to make was every opponent that could fatigue you. You sat across from them and you had to make a decision. Do I throw extra cards in and do I hedge in that direction or do I not? And the problem with making that decision is if you're wrong, you're extremely punished. And if you're correct, you just play a fair game. There's no upside there. And Dash is one of the few decks that make your opponent make that decision.
Yeah.
Not them. And so you can sit across from them and you can say, all right, let's go. I'm going to fatigue them. Let me throw my sink belows in. And then you run into tree frog dash and you lose because it's hard to hold tempo or keep pressure up when you're drawing sink belows.
Right.
And then, you could say, okay, well, game.
Uh-oh. Robot Nathan.
and then you, sorry.
Oh, you got new internet.
I thought I did, but
that's all right. Continue. You're back.
Okay, so and like if you go mid range, you try to outvalue them. The problem is you're going to get destroyed by if they go the mech route, right? Because that's like ultra mid range. And so that's just kind of it puts your opponent in that guessing spot instead of the player.
I'd like to say that like a couple sets back, we said dash was at a +2. So we said that dash got much better. We were wrong. This time though, I think we are right.
Oh yeah.
So dash has actually 4 play styles at the moment, I believe. You have the boost dash, you have the mech dash, you have the chamber purifier control, and then you have tree fog dash, which is a more extreme version of that chamber control.
Yep.
And generally they can only play 2 of those styles, but you don't even know which of those 2 styles you're going to play against, right? So you kind of have to, I think against dash, you actually have to hedge against, like Nathan said, you have to do what Chain had to do. You have to hedge. Yep. And that just makes, anytime you are diluting your general strategy, that just makes your deck weaker, right? So this may not be relevant for smaller events because you can, like 20-30 person tournament, you could walk around and go see what the dashes are playing, right? Especially if the dashes are still playing after you're done playing, right? They're probably on control,
That's
right?
a hint.
Yep.
But at larger 100-200 person tournaments, I think dash will do a little bit better there as well.
Yep.
So are we putting her on the line with Icelander, or are we putting her on the line with Phi and Oldhim?
Icelander, I would say.
Yeah. Pulse Wave Harpoon is like one of the few cards that actually pushed me into a camp where I want to start playing Dash. I've never really been a fan of Dash, and the clear and obvious card that's going to make people want to play her is Nitro Mechanoid because it's a big mech. But now Pulse Wave Harpoon is so good; it just gives you such an edge in the aggro mirror. Love that card.
Sure.
I will say though, if anybody's having trouble with playing against Dash, the best advice I can give is a card called Erase Face. It's a card that's always going to demand 2-card block, and when Dash is down to 2 cards, she cannot harpoon you. So it's effects like that are going to be able to manage that game. So just a little tidbit.
Yep, good card. All right, I guess let's talk about another hero that got upgrades.
Arachni.
Sure, why not? Obviously,
he got a hero.
He got a bunch of cards,
as far
right?
to the right as you can be.
Yep. All right. Okay, so obviously Arachni is a new hero. Got a bunch of new cards. In fact, 2 of the 10 card slots are dedicated to his class. Where do we want to put him in terms of power?
Right in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle or below the middle?
Yeah, I would put him in the middle, not because we think that's accurate, but it's because I don't think there's been enough tournament performance by him to really get an assessment.
Just not been enough time yet.
Yep. So I literally just put a question mark on him, if you want to be honest. He needs a little bit more time.
So what type of styles have we seen out of Arachni so far?
I've seen everything from quick and token generation via even bigger than that, more aggressive, multiple attacks to fulfill multiple contracts in the same turn, to acquire silver token, to do cash outs, the more aggressive route. I've seen fatigue, of course. We've kind of been all over the place. I just don't think I just don't think the list have been refined is the problem.
So do we think that it'll just take a few tournaments for people to kind of converge onto a deck, or do we think it's going to take a few supplemental sets, or what do we think is going to be like the future of the Arachni meta?
I think it's going to take one that the meta has to become clear, because Arachni seems like one of those decks, kind of like Lexi, where it needs to like know what's going on so it can build its deck accordingly. And so after that, I think a month after we have a really good idea on what the meta is, I think we'll get a good assessment on Arachni, because he'll have time to build a decent deck list and try to perform into what is quote unquote the known meta.
Yeah, he'll be reactive.
Sure.
I would say February. In February we'll know.
Sure. Okay. So, all right, let's move on to your hero, Nathan. What did Briar get from the new set? So in terms of Runeblade cards, it was a little underwhelming overall, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Finally.
No complaints. I would say that for Briar specifically, I would say that really the only usable card that she got was Diabolic Ultimatum.
Extra
and
popper.
That's Cryptic Cross.
Oh, sorry. One. Oops. Okay.
Diabolic is the aura destroying one, and even that one's got its niche uses which it may not even apply, but there's really nothing else that like really fits. Like Aether Slash is like just a replacement for Singeing Steelblade. There's just not any standout cards.
Is it mainly just because the whole attack, non-attack, if you pitch an attack, pitch a non-attack, that whole thing, it just doesn't, like, Briar doesn't even want to pitch, right? So why would you want to pitch 2 cards?
Exactly. And not only because it's not very cohesive with her hero ability, because you want to play 2 non-attacks in a turn, and how can you play 2 non-attacks plus the attack and pitch 2 cards?
Yep.
That's already 5 cards. So
it's all Viserai stuff, really.
If it's even that.
So I mean,
if it's even that.
So something we're noticing is like these are all untalented heroes, right? Even Arachni is a vanilla assassin hero.
Talent, yeah.
Right? Whereas these are all talented heroes. So
no talent.
These there were only like 2. No, there was like the Dromai cards, Spirit of Arena, and Soraya, right? Were the only talented cards in the set. I guess there were a few royal cards, right? But does that even count, right? So where would you put Briar in this area?
Just above the line, unfortunately.
Down here. Okay.
Like resting on the bottom of it, or like sitting on top of it. Yeah.
So you would consider this top of tier 2 or mid tier 2, or A tier?
It should be like 1.5.
This is okay.
Yeah. And the reason is she's not the fastest aggro deck. Phi is probably favored into it, if not 50-50 at best. But even then, it's like Phi is like the baseline, right? Like if Phi does his game plan and nothing crazy happens, he wins. Briar literally has to high roll to win that match, or at least go slightly above average in some way. And then Icelander is just atrocious, right? It's not as bad with the Royal Belittle package, but it's still not the easiest thing, because hypothermia and all those different tools. So,
and your big turns are fairly telegraphed as well, so they can kind of set up their counterplay to it.
Yeah, it's just always been the problem. And then like just Runeblade in general against Dash, you're like, oh man, I got this great hand with Channel Mount Heroic and everything, and then they get Pulse Wave harpooned, and you're like, okay, I won't show them the channel, but like you show them your only attack and your Earth Blue, and then they take either one and you're screwed. So it's like there's like a lot of situations in that card where that card you just can't win against that, and that's why you have to play like a really proactive strategy against that deck to make sure that they can't do that.
Sure. All right. I mean, I mentioned Spirit of Arena, so let's talk about Bolton. So Bolton got a single card in the set. However, it was a legendary, which only means you can play one of, unfortunately.
And two words, and two meanings of the word. Yeah.
Yes, it is a legendary in both senses of the word. So, I've talked about Spirit of Rhinar quite a bit. I will give a very quick summary. Spirit of Rhinar allows you to combo with via the Vanguard. It allows you to combo one soul faster. It allows you to use Lumen Ascension as an attack reaction to give your stuff go again. Excellent in both styles. Not a card you want in every single matchup, though, even though they're good in Sabers and in Raiden. It is a no block. So there are certain matchups where this does get you killed against Phi, against Rhinar, Dory, maybe, and Dash is also one of those matchups where I probably would not play Spirit of Rhinar. But other than that, great card. It helps quite a bit against Icelander and Oldhim. Gives you some protection against Blizzard. It also allows you to get action points back, so it insulates you a little bit against hypothermia when you're playing Raiden. Great card overall. This single card, however, single card that you may or may not see is kind of the issue, right?
Right.
If a game goes a medium amount of time and it's the 53rd card from the top, you're not going to see it that game, right? It's also possible you get down 30 cards and then you beacon and then shuffle it to the bottom again. So it can be really it can be a card that you don't see, right? Like I remember I bought my copy of Spirit Arena and I didn't see it for like 7 games. I was like, is this even in my deck? Like, so that's kind of an issue. But that card is really, really powerful. Auto include in all Bolton decks, right? So I'm going to put it like somewhere around here. Single card that's effective, I think, kind of puts it here. In terms of power,
do a ton, yeah.
I mean, I got to put Bolton slightly below the line, mainly because the matchups that were really good, namely Dash and I mean these didn't really change, but I guess it's Bolton. I would put him, he used to be here, but now that Dash has gotten more prevalent, and this was a matchup that used to be like 75-25 in Bolton's favor, but I think with Pulse Wave Harpoon you got to be really, really careful if you try to combo them, because if you indicate that you're not going to block and then they Pulse Wave you can't combo, right? So I think you have to play a little bit slower as Bolton, kind of feel out what the Dash's plan is and then counter it with your own plan. Other than that, I think Bolton is still fine against the aggro decks, and it has some play against the ice decks. It's just really difficult to pilot. There are some matchups that are really, really difficult, like Lexi and Dromai, but they are not as popular in the metagame. So I put him, kind of, bottom of tier 2, top of tier 2.5. Obviously, I do not recommend people to take Bolton to a tournament unless they really know what they're doing. This is a deck that I have my Worlds list updated with Spirit of Rhinar on Fabry. The current win rate for my deck is actually 50-50. So the public has taken my deck, played it about 350 times, and has come out about 50-50, right? So obviously I think on Talishar, if you're playing, you should be a little bit higher than that, right? So I think the deck is actually not easy to play. And I kind of looked at the win rates against Icelander and Oldhim. They're really quite bad, actually. They're like 20 to 25%. And that kind of indicates to me that like you just need more reps on that, basically. So a hero that I don't recommend people to take unless they know what they're doing. There are much easier heroes to play that will get more results for you. But if you like him, you like him. So just like that. All right. Let's what do we want to talk about next? brutes.
Yeah,
right.
sure. How about
All right. Mr. Rhinar here? Oh boy, he got a lot of spicy tools.
Rhinar got some fun stuff.
Rock.
Some good stuff too.
I know I love rock.
The
There's
memers
the fun
love
stuff
rock.
like rock and the what is that card? The one that comes in for like 12.
Oh, the dentist special, Savage Beatdown.
Is that what it's called? Savage Beatdown?
One of the greatest card
Yeah.
names ever.
He came in for eight. Yeah, he came in for like 18 with one of them son of a gun. Man.
Yeah, like there's cards like that that are cool and fun. Savage Beatdown and Rock. But they also just gave them those beaten trackers. Like it's just a good one block, always going to give you that action point. Like those are cool.
Yeah. So not only that, I think the potential for Rhinar in this metagame is actually pretty good because he has a card from Crucible of War, aka the useful set, called Arg Smash.
Oh yeah.
And if Dash comes around, Reinhardt's gonna mess up Dash pretty hard, I think.
He's gonna arc smash.
He could not only could you smash the mechanoid, which would be almost instant concede, right? If that happens, right?
It works on it. I know Smashing Good Time doesn't, but Arg does. Ooh la la.
Yeah, I think it does. I'll have to double check that. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I believe it does.
Why does smashing not work? It is an item.
Smashing Good Time requires a certain cost on the item, where Nitro doesn't have a cost.
Ah, okay. Well,
Arg
Reinhardt
does work.
Yeah, Arg Smash does work. Okay, so not just can it destroy the mechanoid, it can also control the Dash's chamber purifier plan. Reinhardt is also a deck that is easily able to fatigue Dash if the Dash is playing aggressively. So I think Reinhardt, excellent position against Dash, and Reinhardt just traditionally is also good against very defensive decks like Oldhim, because Intimidate gets around it, and traditionally very good against wizards like Kano and Icelander. So I think Reinhardt is definitely, I'd say he's like somewhere around here if I had to say.
He got a little boost. He is a very much more viable deck now, I'd say.
Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts on Rhinar?
Oh, he's just gotten better.
I just think it's interesting that all the new stuff they gave him is just Levia stuff that doesn't say Shadow, but it's fine. He deserves it. He's a good boy.
I think
he's not a good boy.
Yeah, Dorinthia would disagree with you. Something interesting from a design standpoint is that Rhinar and Levia are actually linked pretty well. Whereas, like, I look at Bolton and Dorinthia, and they're not linked very well at all.
Yeah, not at all. That's a good point.
That's because the fundamentals of Brute rely on that whole 6-power mechanic, right? Whereas the fundamentals of Warrior is just putting people into hard spots, which and having F tier weapons. So, yeah. So, anyways, all right, let's talk about Levia next, since we talked about Rhinar.
Didn't get squat. I mean, she
can play like some of them,
but she already had them.
Isn't the one that gives a resource quite useful for Levia's lines?
She doesn't discard like that though, does she? Yeah, maybe she does. I don't know. She banishes.
That's not the same, yeah.
From the graveyard, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of these.
Levia F tier as usual.
Much to Mad Sant's dismay.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about why.
It's just I'm not a Brute player, so I honestly am not an expert, but I have seen Rhinar players come to locals with a fresh excitement, and I have not seen a Levia player come around with any fresh excitement. It's just she can mess with the new cards, but I just don't feel like they're as special for her. They're cards she already had. Endless Maw, I think, is the same as what is the name of the card again, Nathan? Smashing, instinct, savage
Savage
something.
beatdown.
Savage beatdown.
Savage beatdown, I think, is just
So-
endless maw. So it's like, who cares?
So I'm going to make a small counterpoint here. So Arc Smash is a brute card, not a Rhinar card, right?
Yep.
So Levia has very decent damage output. So if she comes across a racing dash, perhaps she can out damage the dash.
Yeah, but Dash blocks so well, and all you have to do against the Baya is block, and then she dies.
Yeah.
And like
Sure.
that's, I mean, obviously it's not that simple. I'm making fun of the deck, but it's just any deck that's so efficient at blocking like Dash is, like his Dash can hit you a bunch, but literally all of its cards block for 3, and it doesn't really have like a. It can just transition. It can be like, oh, I'm playing against Levia. Like, it's gonna have some D reacts in its boards, so like it's just gonna be like, whoop, I'm gonna stick those in, and I mean, I don't know. I don't think Levia is. She's really got something drastic to change before she can.
Did she get any cards at all?
I mean, I'd put her in the middle because she can use some of Rhinar's cards, but
Okay, so somewhere like here.
But
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. Let's talk about Kano. I think this is actually the deck that
Oh god.
I love it. Kano got fun stuff. I love
hate it.
Surge. Surge is such a fun mechanic.
the Surge mechanic is actually very interesting, and the whole brainstorm archetype is also very, very interesting. I think that right now that's kind of a meme, but that is a card that's just kind of waiting to be broken. We haven't seen anybody really abuse the Blessing of Aether yet either, so I'm sure there are some big brain Kano players that are
I have seen
have played
apparently
around with
is it Mind Warp? There's a new yellow Majestic. Apparently that is seeing some good play. And it makes sense. It just makes them ditch their hand -1 card.
Oh,
Like,
who said that was the best wizard card in this set?
oh, did you say that?
That was me. Yeah. The only one
that
seen.
was seen
Yeah.
play,
Brainstorm
though.
just hasn't seen. It just needs more time. Has
No.
to stay on theme.
What is the name of that card, Nathan?
Mind Warp. Yep.
Mind Warp. Yeah, Mind Warp. Like, if
That's-
you play Mind Warp after a Wildfire, like, ooh, that's pretty good.
Mind Warp is kind
You
of like
play
Harpoon,
anything
right?
after Wildfire.
A blue snapback after Wildfire is pretty good.
The only way to do that is with Stormstriders there, right? So
Yeah.
actually that may not be
Well,
true.
no,
There's
Kano.
No, straight off the
right?
top.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Off
Or-
the top
yeah.
of the deck. Yeah.
Kano can play anything it wants. They don't give a shit.
All right, so let's look at the context of the metagame. So Icelander is there in the metagame, right? So people are bringing some Arcane Barrier generally. We have decks like Icelander, Phi, Oldhim, and Dash in the current metagame. Is that a good or bad environment for Kano to be in?
I think Kano belongs just a little to the right of the middle line because it got some tools, and just a little above the line about where Briar sits.
I think a 5-player who does not respect Kano will get eaten alive. As a 5-player who felt like he couldn't be touched for a while on Talishar, I fought a Kano and had him down 35-1. I felt pretty confident. I lost that game at -17.
Yeah, your life means nothing against Kano. If
And
you
then
went
that
to
was
one,
back
you
when
died.
I was on AB1 and I broke my AB1 to get go again to get him to 1. Bad
idea.
Now I run AB2 and the match has gotten much better. But watch out for Kanos, you 5 players. Just don't be tricked.
So
I think Kano has slightly above 50% into Icelander, in my opinion. I also think that into 5, like he can just win. Briar is one of his tougher matchups, which is taking a fall. And then I'd say Dash is probably one of his tougher matchups, which got a big boost. But anything that's much slower in the meta, which the meta has in general just slowed down, it means that he's going to get an improvement anytime the meta slows down.
sure.
And his new tools are fun.
Yep. Kano can kill you really, really, really quickly, and if you don't know how to what to Arcane Barrier, especially in the you have to think of the terms of like turn cycle, right? If you Arcane Barrier something now, that means on your turn you actually have less cards for Arcane Barrier, right? So that's something that, like, even though things look very threatening, you have to kind of think about, so on my turn I'm gonna have less. I'm gonna have one card less to AB. So should I just not block this, right? So it's not as simple as just you always block Wildfire. Obviously you always block Wildfire, but like do I block a Sonic Boom on his turn?
You do not always block Wildfire, by the way.
Really?
There are many times when they will hit you with a Wildfire on their turn, trying to get you to do something, and then arsenal the other Wildfire.
Oh no!
Well, an active Wildfire,
a dangerous Wildfire. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But no, Kano got some pretty okay stuff. Nothing that blows him out of proportion, but he's doing okay. I like it.
All right. Speaking of heroes that are not doing so okay, I guess. let's talk about
TBD
Azalea
on this one.
Yeah, it's funny. James White says, watch out for Azalea. But James White also said that Phi was the deck that made him realize that second cycle mattered back in the day.
He also said Uprising Draft was his favorite draft format.
I'm not going to lie to you. I love James.
We love you, Daddy
him.
James.
He's a great guy. But I have never thought about second cycle on Phi even once.
What
it's like, because you get to your second cycle so fast.
Burn through your cards.
Right.
But no, Azalea, she got some things. I've heard people have more success with her thanks to that one new arrow, the one that says
that one new
arrow. The honeybee arrow. Drill shot, yes. Drill
I was
shot's
actually
good.
thinking the one that says give you an arsenal, but I think Lexi actually likes that one.
This is too good.
Yeah. So the great bow kind of enables a whole new archetype. I think we're gonna see the whole progression of that aim counter thing
later.
And based on the wording of the aim counter, like all those cards are designed for Azalea. They're not really designed for Lexi. Lexi didn't really get much from this set, but yeah,
she got that one new arrow.
Yep. So have we seen any Azalea tech or Azalea games recently, or anything concerning Azalea?
Well, I know she's tooling around with the Sand Scour Great Bow, but everything I've seen so far is like not quite there yet. I think we're waiting to see. So she's kind of TBD, kind of Arachni, but less useful.
Is it the meta game that's kind of holding her back, or is it still the fact that she has like 18 hoops to jump through to do 6 damage?
I think the problem with Azalea right now is the devs. I'm firmly on the belief that the devs used the aim counter mechanic to fix Azalea, and currently she's in that weird spot where they've began the process of changing the idea of her playstyle, and it'll be fixed in the next set. And that's what I'm with. So like maybe the new cards are too strong with Death Dealer, and so they had to bring the aim counter mechanic to force you into playing that bow, so that way the stuff that comes out now outsiders, it just isn't too overwhelming. So I think she's just in that weird spot. But next set, she's probably going to be pretty gas.
I'm curious if we get Azalea with new text, and Azalea that makes aim counters all by herself.
It could be. It could be.
Yep.
Azalea, star of the show.
Does she
or not?
Does she go on the same line as Levia?
No, she got more. Nah, she's not
this
that bad.
This way. She's like here.
Yeah, she's further in the useful category, but same. Well, no, she's a little higher. She didn't she win something recently? She's been putting up some numbers.
Levi did the top 8 at the
Columbus
5K or whatever it was. But like ever since then, like it's just, I don't know. It's not a bad deck, but it targets only a few things, but it doesn't even like really win those all the time. So It's kind of weird.
All right. We're kind of in a wait and see for Azalea.
Yeah,
Definitely.
very much so. Very
All right.
much so.
Let's talk about Viserai.
Same spot as Briar, just a little lower.
He got tools though, so a little further to the right, I'd say. I've seen some Viserais actually using these new cards.
Have you seen them? Have you seen them win and use the new cards?
Hey, that's only one part of the access here. Did they get useful cards?
The new
which means they're using them.
/ Shrill. It's 2 cards in one. You know, it's interesting.
I guess it's a. So, I think there's a misconception on the new Runeblade cards. Let me set the record straight. When they designed all these double pitch cards, is what we're calling them, that idea is wrong. I think the devs were trying to make cards that were usable in different scenarios in the same hand. So, like, if I have a hand, I can pitch a non-attack and get this effect. Or I can pitch an attack and get this effect, because we all know Runeblades, especially Viserai, typically your blue count is about 50-50. Because, you know, if you do it too far one way, then the ratios are not correct. So I think that's where the devs went with that kind of text line on the Runeblades, which it has its it's going to take a really strong player to really
crack that code.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. It's going to be very difficult. And then if somebody does figure it out, I think it'll be a couple sets before it gets enough support in that text line for you to build around it.
So do you think the issue is that Viserai doesn't have any attacks that cost kind of 3, 4, 5-ish? So it's very difficult to activate that double pitch thing?
No, that's what I'm saying, is you don't want to do the double pitch.
Yeah.
You just want to
so it's like a backup mechanic.
No, you just want to pick the mode that like, let's say you're on the rune chant building strategy. Well, there's the Deathly Duet that, depending on what you pitch, it makes rune chants or it pluses the attack. Well, without using up a sideboard slot, you can play that card to do either or, depending on how you're executing your strategy within the same game.
I like that.
So you can say, okay, this is a build-up rune chant game, so let me make sure that when I draw that card, I am pitching a whatever the applicable card is, and then that way, it might just be a sideboard mechanic, like saving mechanic. It could be.
Okay. Why did you put Viserai kind of in tier 2-ish?
Because he kind of does what Briar does, but doesn't have the explosiveness.
Why
would you play?
Have you had a Mordred Rebel turn?
I mean, yeah, it has the turns, right? But like, so that deck requires 2 cards to be explosive. Mordred Revel. Briar takes Channelmount Heroic.
Yeah.
So why would you in like one of 14 Earth Blues, right? So it's like, one's way easier to accomplish than the other. And plus, Briar has the ability to block down to 1 card, where Viserai has to have 3 cards to do anything.
So. Okay. All right. Is there a significant difference between Briar and Viserai against Dash?
I would say Viserai is much worse because Dash blocks very well. Yeah. And most of Viserai's value is reliant on Movsky's hitting, which is probably not going to happen in most cases.
Okay. Sure. We'll put Viserai kind of in that tier 2. Let's talk about Dorinthia. So Dorinthia got several new cards. Ironsong Pride, so powerful that it has to. Ironsong Pride costs 1, gives it a target sword gets a +1 counter, and then if a sword has not hit this turn, remove all the counters. It's an aura that stays on the field. So it's The only downside of this card is it doesn't block. This card is very, very nice going second. It also allows you to bump up by 1. Only downside is it doesn't block, can't be searched by Singing Steelblade. And it's a little bit weak against heroes that can get a single block really easily, like Oldhim or Prism and Blitz. Overall, that card's quite good. At least a 2 of, probably a 3 of, depending if you go first or second. Another card that they got was Red Puncture. This is probably a 2 of index. This card just allows you to get to +5 with Singing Steelblade, and it's one of the best value attack reactions you can have. You also got Precision Plus Blue. Just extra go again in your mana base means things like late game Twinning Blade are more powerful. It probably is a direct replacement for Blue Warrior's Valor. And they also got Jubil. This is a very, very interesting weapon. You know what? I'm going to move Bolton over slightly. I think Jubil is actually possibly good at him too. We'll come back to that in a second. But so Dorinthia has access to Jubil. It is better than Dawnblade against Icelander and Kano. Because if you were going to hit twice with Dawnblade against Icelander, that means they're about to take the tempo back from you, which means your counter doesn't do anything, right? So the Spellbane Aegis token, very, very useful. It's like healing for 1, right? Of note as well, Ironsong Pride can target Jubil. So once the Jubil starts coming in for 4, big problems for Icelander, right?
I like that.
Overall, at least 10 cards for her deck. Pretty substantial upgrade. Got a new weapon. There were a lot of fluff in this set too. Merciless Battle Axe, cough cough. But we'll just say that was a setup for a new hero or a new archetype. So yeah, I would say definitely a little bit on this side. Probably around where Kano's at. In terms of power level, probably I'd put him next to Rhinar, about that level here. I guess
Dory into Dash.
Dory into Dash is one of the most classic matchups in the game. Logically, the Dash has to go with the Pounder Purifier Control. I think if you play aggro into Dory, the Dory basically can choose to race you or to fatigue you. Probably gonna race you. To be frank, I'd probably race most of the dashes because the Dorinthia has to put in Energy Potion, Ironsong Pride, possibly Heart of Fendel. So you possibly have 5 to 6 no blocks. Not really where you want to be to fatigue dash. So yeah. Overall, I think Dorinthia's matchup spread is actually fairly stable. Oldhim can be beaten with enough experience with the deck and with enough shunts. Icelander can also be beaten, especially like Ironsong Pride and Jubil are like really big upgrades against Icelander. And you can put quite a bit of pressure on them. They can't. If you increase your blue count to like 23, which I think is kind of the sweet spot now, like she can't really disrupt you with anything other than CLF. Generally, the Icelanders are also just running 3 sinks, so it's like once you get rid of their sinks, easy pickings. Yeah, overall, I think Dorinthia is in a decent spot right now. Excellent hero if you know how to pilot her as well.
Ooh,
and
I love that.
Current metagame, not too many D-Reacts. There's no Starvo running around, right? So that's favorable. Any other thoughts on Dorinthia?
You're the pro.
Yeah, we're not going to argue that one.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to talk a little bit about Jubil and Bolton. I've been thinking about this a little bit. I actually don't know if you need Raiden anymore. Raiden was designed for the only matchup. The only matchup you'd play Raiden was against Icelander. And I think if you just up your blue count to like 18, 21 as Bolton, and you play Jubil, it's actually a little bit stronger than playing Raiden. Because there's often times when your hand gets stripped or you don't have a good hand, you'd rather just block 3, attack with Jubil, than block 6, play a card and charge. So I think having
That's
that
interesting.
option for Jubil might be good. And that possibly means that you want to run a few more attack reactions in Bolton. So I could see myself playing like Out for Blood in Bolton now, because Out for Blood gives, I mean, the Icelander player is going to block your Jubil, right? So Out for Blood is going to have reprise, and that gives +1 to your next attack. So next attack, not weapon. So what you can do is swing Jubil. They block Out for Blood, Bolton react, give it go again. Play Bolt of Courage, red. Charge a card.
I thought
now it's 4.
I thought you were gonna say snatch for 5. I was like,
Or snatch for 5.
Let's go.
Bolt of Courage for 4, though.
Bolt
It's
of
pretty
Courage
good.
for 4, right? So I think
That's not
I'm trying to play around, like, I think adding a few Out for Bloods and Jubil, I think might be the play now, instead of Raiden and that whole package to support Raiden.
When are they going to give us Cold Foil Jubil? That is a curious thing.
I just want the token. Code full token.
The token does look nice, yes. So
It's nice.
yeah, also I'm going to slide him over slightly. I think there's something there. All right, we've talked about warriors for quite a long time. Let's talk about your one of your favorite heroes, Will.
Hey,
So
all right.
so
Let's talk about
Dromai did
Dromai.
get cards, right? But
Yeah, she did.
tell us about the materials.
I mean, the new dust cards are very pretty. I'll admit, I love seeing landscapes in Flesh and Blood. It's nice having some good landscape artworks on our cards. But I'm just playing the Viserai one. It helps in the Oldhim matchup and the Bravo matchup. That's it. The other ones I don't care about.
Okay, so you
she
did get
also
a
got-
useful card.
Oh yeah, the new
Okay,
Viserai Dust of the Red Plane, or whatever it's called, is good. And then also we have a way to blink. I'm not a magic guy. Alex can correct me here, but we can blink Channel Mount Heroic away with the new aura for at least one turn until I take a damage. But there's something that says get rid of auras or token auras. That new aura, I might try and fool around with that against Briar. We'll see.
Okay, sure. That sounds like some useful upgrades. Where would you put Dromai on the y-axis?
Well, honestly, up. If Dash stock is going up, like Dash hates fighting Dromai. Like Kyloria can straight up steal Nitro Mechanoid, which is so funny to me. It's on my bucket list for Flesh and Blood.
And she can attack with it after.
Yeah, which is great, and block with it too.
Yeah, like, it's so savage.
So yeah, she actually got
Super
some
Snatch
stock.
Dragon.
I'm happy for her. I wish I cared more about the dust. Like if the dust had go again, like it'd be so playable. But it's not bad. I'm happy.
Okay, so
Second.
so it's kind of on the level of Dorian Rhinar.
Yeah.
Okay, what were you gonna say, Nathan?
Mechanoid has 6 attack, does it not?
It has
5,
5
6
plus
with the
1
glove.
from the gloves. Yep.
Yeah, so every time they block with it, does it trigger Phantasm?
Ooh.
Is
We
it
just
plus
broke the game.
Oh, geez.
We just broke the game.
That's a good question. I'm not sure. It
So
might.
Snatch Dragon needs support.
Oh, that would be nuts. A fray popper every turn.
Sounds
until
good.
the
Turns, bro.
gloves goes away. Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Something to look into.
All right. Okay, 2 heroes left, guys.
These are pretty quick and easy, I think. I
yeah,
don't
let's
think
talk about
got a
Bravo.
ton. Like
He's
I think Alex is kind of the Bravo player around here, right?
what do you think, Alex?
I mean, I think he might have got like the new blue card is fine, but other than that, I mean, Bravo's cards are pretty set in stone unless he gets some like significant red card that's impacting the game.
I do think if you wanted to play Shield Bravo and Commoner, the new Shield with the old little hammer, the one-handed hammer, is an upgrade. I don't know if that's a thing that's viable, but he does have it now.
I mean,
It's
having
absolutely an upgrade in commoner.
so the only card that we're really looking at is Buckle, and
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole archetype that was like the whole control Bravo or life gain Bravo.
Right.
Could be a thing one day, but I mean, it's not well positioned. Icelander has Frost Hex combo. Phi has damage spikes. Dash will destroy you if you try to play like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rhinar can get around that fairly easily, right? Okay, so
Mhm.
that's something perhaps set up for the future.
Yeah.
Where would you put him on the y-axis, Alex?
He obviously you've got him placed correctly on the X, but on the Y, I think just a little above the line. I think he's still a very good deck. He's got a pretty decent matchup into Dromai. He's always got at least a 50-50 shot into Phi. I've always been on the opinion that he's favored into Oldhim and has just a little bit better shot into Icelander than some of the slower decks does. So I think he's still a pretty good deck. I think I'd put him a little bit above, like where Briar is, maybe even a little bit above Briar. But still a solid deck. Just didn't get the utility from this new set.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. A hero that we'll be on the lookout for going forward. All right. Final hero.
Good old Lexi.
Good old Lexi.
She got that new arrow, the one that says if it hits, I get an arsenal off the top of the deck. I think that's really it. It's a good card, though. And I think she really just got favor in the form of the meta of being a little bit kinder to her right now.
Less Guardians equals better Lexis.
Yeah.
Yep. We did see Lexi win the Singapore Battle Hardened.
Was just impressive.
Any
Absolutely.
thoughts on that?
It's just a different meta over there.
I think
I
it's
don't know what to take from it from our meta specifically, but I think I mean Lexi can beat any deck at any moment with any given draw. She's a fantastic deck. She's got a very high power level, but I mean, if you see a decline in Oldhim specifically, then you're gonna see a rise in Lexi. Like when Phi's and Briars and things like that are doing well, she's going to beat those decks a lot of the time. So
it's exactly what Alex said right off the bat. When the Guardians take a dip, Lexi has her time to shine. Because when Lexi is dishing out the damage, like it's a good rate. It's a lot of numbers, but it also has pretty gnarly on hits too. Like Lexi's not a bad deck at all. It's just against a good Guardian. It's so hard. It's almost unwinnable. And when you do win, you have to jump through so many hoops. Like, good luck.
I do think one thing that's going to hold Lexi back is that these three heroes here that have kind of come up are all very good against Lexi.
Yeah.
Dorinthia is a nightmare for Lexi to block. You have no D-Reacts.
Yeah.
I mean, Reinhardt, I mean, you may not want to be blocking anyways, but I mean, Reinhardt can kind of juggle the life totals down and then finish you off if they're going for that. I think Kano just in general is obviously going to be hard because you're probably not running Oasis Respite in Lexi either. So these three heroes could kind of keep her kind of in this middle tier here, but we'll kind of have to see. All right, I think that will do it. Is there any heroes that we want to move slightly, or is there any final thoughts?
I got something about the graph, not really just not moving anything, but just one thing I wanted to point out. We kind of, cracked a joke or two about, LSS and, second cycle Phi and whatnot. But one thing that I really wanted to emphasize on this chart, and I think it's a very great thing, is look at the heroes on the left. And the heroes what were the heroes that all of last year we were complaining about because they got too much support, and they just kept getting support after support. Rune Blades, Guardians, Illusionist, all those heroes are now getting less support. Now, is it perfect? No. Should Levia be on the right side? Sure. Should Lexi be on the right side? Sure. But we've already been confirmed that there'll be a ranger, so that'll get fixed. I'm sure Levia will be later on this year, but it's just important to emphasize that LSS is obviously paying very close attention to who. I mean, we haven't gotten a mech card in a hot minute, right? So only the supplemental sets really, and so like they're trying. They can't give everybody support like every set. It's just not doable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're doing a very good job in like kind of giving heroes like seasons almost, where like they get a lot of support. They kind of like, all right, so now Rune Blades and Guardians will be neglected for a while, and then which is perfectly fine. That's how it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And wait until we get another main set that has Shadow as a talent, and Levia just has a second coming. Like like she'll be the hero in that set. Like that'll be interesting.
Yep. We've already seen from a design standpoint that they repeated the ice talent, so it's very possible in the next set that we see some repetition in some of the talents. All right. Is there any other final thoughts? Do we think this meta is healthy?
Yes.
And are we excited to play it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think most of us are pretty happy with the state of the metagame right now. There's quite a few viable decks, and there's a little bit of a there's some creative freedom in your sideboard because there's no particular deck that you just have to target, right? Even though these are probably at the top tier, they're probably not going to be more than 15-20% of the ProQuest season, if I had to guess, individually, right? We may see these kind of top out at 15-18% or so, but that just means, in a 8-round tournament, you may not see a single Icelander. You may not see a single Dash. So we'll see. All right. Wrap us up, Alex. Let's get out of here.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this kind of video like we always do, I know you guys love the charts. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, let everybody know in the comments what you thought of the chart and if you would do anything differently or if you thought a hero was misplaced. We'd love to hear about it. We are not perfect, as we always mention at the end of a chart video. We do our best to try to figure these things out, but inevitably we're always wrong about something. That's just the nature of these things, and we love learning from it, and hopefully we get better in the future. Check out our links in the description. We have a TCG player affiliate if you'd like to buy any cards for these new decks like Pulse Wave, Harpoon, Wink Wink, Hint Hint. We get a little kickback from that when you use our TCG player affiliate link, and you guys don't get charged anything extra. So check out our Discord, our Patreon, all those fun things, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.
It's funny when Josh said every deck is pretty viable right now. I had this possession to say, you say viable, I say viable.
Oh my goodness!
Thank God you didn't pull the trigger on that.
Oh no!
Opportunity missed.
Opportunity missed.